All right. All right. So I'll start off with some housekeeping. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Open Novice Finals at the Sixth NLUO BPD 2021. We'd like to congratulate everyone on making it this far and wish everyone the very best for this round. My name is Shubham Muzumdar, and my preferred gender pronouns are he/him. Before we start with the debate, let's just go around the table house by house, introducing ourselves, our names, and our preferred gender pronouns in order of our speeches as well. And before that, starting off with the panel.
Hi guys, I'm Saya, and I'll be a panelist this round. My preferred gender pronouns are she and her.
Hi everyone,
Hi,
I'm Shri. Okay, continue.
No, you go first. Just sorry.
All right. Hi everyone, I'm Shriya. I'll be one of your panelists today. I prefer she, her, but like the other panelists, I think we would prefer if you just address us collectively at panel as panel. And I'm really looking forward to a good debate today. All the best to all the teams.
Hello, everyone. My name is Joy Hadume, and I'll be one of the panelists for this round. My pronouns are she, her. Good luck to you all.
Is Vanshika here?
Hello, don't mean to speak out of turn. Just confirming. This is Chinmaya Mohan. I was asked to sub in for this round as a judge. Do let me know.
Yeah, we were actually introducing ourselves, so if you could introduce yourself as well.
Sure thing, happily. Hey folks, my name is Chinmaya Mohan. I don't have any preferred gender pronouns. Yeah, just looking forward to a good debate. Peace.
Thank you. Moving on to the teams, side opening government.
Hi everyone, this is Khushi and I would be serving as a PM. Looking forward to a great debate and no preferred gender pronouns. Thank you.
Is the DPM here?
Sorry. Hi, I'm Niharika. My preferred pronouns are she, her, and I'll be going as DPM. Yep.
All right, thank you. Opening opposition.
Hi, did you just say O?
Yes, I read. Yeah.
Okay. Hi guys, my name is Shreya. I'll be going as the LO and my preferred pronouns are she and her. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Pratna and I'll be going as the Deputy Leader of Opposition. My preferred pronouns are she/her, which you can also use gender neutral pronouns. Thank you.
All right, closing government.
Hi, I'm Sanjeet Agarwal. I'll be the opening speaker for the opening government, and my preferred pronouns are he/him.
Yeah, hi. My name is Pradyuman Singh. I'll be serving in the capacity of the government whip for this debate. My preferred pronouns are he/him, and I'll preferably have POIs through chat.
And lastly, the opposition, closing opposition.
Hi everybody, I'm Juhi Mathur. I'll be serving as the member of opposition from side closing opposition. My pronouns are she/her. My POIs would be through the chat, preferably in the 5th minute. Thank you so much.
All right, we'd like to thank all of the teams for their introductions. We'll be moving on to the debate now.
So really sorry to interrupt you. I think that the second member from my team still remains for his introduction.
Oh, I'm really sorry. Really, really sorry.
It's all right. My name is Ananya Singh. I will be going as the opposition whip. My preferred gender pronouns are he, him, and I'll also take the POIs through the chat box. Thank you.
Thanks a lot for that and really apologize. Yeah, and we'll be moving on with the debate now. The motion for the debate stands. This House supports the active devaluation of professional stability in pursuit of happiness. Request all the teams to maintain equitable behavior. And yeah, starting off with the side opening government, calling upon the Prime Minister. Here.
Is anyone saying anything?
Is the Prime Minister here?
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, you are. Loud and clear.
Yeah, I'll start in just 10 seconds. Okay, so I'll start. You can start the timer. Okay, panel, first of all, we'll start with a further some characterizations that we feel is required in this debate. First of all, starting with professional stability, as is mentioned in the motion. What we mean by professional stability is basically a well settled in your career. That is 100% productivity in work, or job satisfaction, which we think is the key, the most important factor when if you say that you are professionally stable. Now, basically, you have a personal economic growth, you're earning good amount of money, you have flexible working hours, you are giving time to everyone and everything. That is professionally stable for us, right? Now, when we say about pursuit of happiness, what pursuit of happiness literally means is seeking the happiness, right? So basically, it can be very subjective to people, but what we characterize it as it's the right to build our own life, and to seek to live our dreams as we wanted to, the pathway to fulfillment, the well-being, and enduring personal joy, right? Now, when the motion talks about active devaluation of personal stability in pursuit of happiness, we say that the professional stability shouldn't be used as a metric, right? For measure for making sure that the person is happy or not. It must not be thought of as a higher goal to attain if we want happiness, right? They panel understand that these two things are not related. If you're professionally happy, it doesn't ensure that if you're professionally stable, it doesn't ensure that you are you are happy as well, right? Now, coming on to the major constructs that we have. First of all, defining the stakeholders, right? For us, the stakeholders are the individuals, right? Who are basically all the individuals that we are talking about, who want to everyone is seeking happiness, so basically who are also at work and like that. Now, coming on to the constructs, right? What the status quo is right now, panel, the status quo is the whole world, it has become so competitive, right? The this bar of personal stability, as you say, has been increased so much. Everyone is in this rat race, right? I'll take the POI in the 5th minute. Now, everyone is in this rat race, competing with each other because they feel that winning from one another will give them happiness. But panel, understand that is a very, very short-lived happiness, because if you win from this person, you will again get someone else at a higher position whom you are competing with, and this is a never-ending panel, never-ending rat race, right? And people feel that if they achieve great heights, if they get promotions and all that stuff, if they start earning more money, they will eventually be happy, and that is not how it works. If we have CEOs and all that, people who are who suffer from depression because of so much stress and all, right, panel? The society has painted this picture, right? It has like romanticized this hustle harder, and spending 10 hours a day at work will give you happiness, reaching new heights will give you happiness. That is now not how it works, right? It's just a complete sham, and that is what people are chasing. All they're doing is if we compare a corporate life, just for giving you an example, people are sitting in front of their laptops like throughout their day, attending the meets and all that, just because they feel that this will give them promotion, it will bring more money to them, they'll be able to buy all the stuff that they want, and this will keep them happy, right? But yeah, so this will keep them happy, but they don't realize that since they have set their bar so high, what it will lead to if they don't if they don't complete this goal, or if they don't achieve this goal, what it will lead to? Just disappointment, and in the worst case scenario, depression, right? Because there will be this continuous stress of achieving something, and this is not what happiness is, right? Yeah, so there is the yeah, So as I was talking about this romanticized picture, understand panel, professional stability is a social construct. Like the society has imposed this on us. The society has defined it for us. If someone has like a 40 LP of, package and all that stuff, the society feels, oh, this person is earning so well. He's so settled, right? He has a permanent job. See, he's earning so well and everything is fine with him. He can achieve anything he wants and see, he's so stable. We are basically seeking for society's validation. And if you're seeking for someone else's validation, then how can you say that you're happy, right? That is not personal happiness. If you say, it's just that society is respecting you because of all this thing, and that is happiness for you. And this picture has been created because of this rat race, because of this competition, right? Yeah. So now moving on to my next point, basically what we are vouching for is that end goal. People believe that a job is a way to earn money, and if they have more money, they'll buy things, they will do whatever they want, and the end goal is happiness, which will be achieved through this job, right? But panel understand. Okay, fine. So first of all, I'll take the POI.
Very basic question. If I'm happy with a particular job, why do you think I should not go ahead and further try to attain stability or any other achievement?
Okay, so if you're happy doing what, okay, so now there's two different things, right? First of all, you are just doing the job for the sake of money because you feel you're not actually happy at it, right? You are doing the job just for the sake of money, right? Yeah, so if you're doing the job just for the sake of money, and you are like earning it, and you are like then I'll be able to buy everything, and that will make me happy. It is not how it works, right? Professional stability is a derivative of being good at what you love, and you reach that when you are happy, like doing what you want to do, right? If that work, right, if that work what you're doing is what you love doing it, if that makes you happy, then it's a right choice. Continue in that process. We are not saying that is wrong. No, if you're happy doing what you are doing right now, then that is good. But it doesn't happen with everyone, right? So this doesn't apply to everyone. Some people may have interest in some other field, and that is not so well, you can say, achieved and like that stuff. So they may have this interest in that field, but then they scared to go there because they feel that they'll they won't achieve stability there, they won't achieve professional growth there, and then the society won't validate it because it's basically you can see in the movie even Three Idiots, right? This is what happened. You had Farhan on one side, who was like striving to become engineer, and to earn more money, as the his parents had set the bar for him. And on one hand you had and on one hand you had the protagonist, who was basically he was basically doing what he loved doing, right? He was it made him happy, and in the end we know who achieved, in the end we know what happened. He basically continued in that direction. He was happy doing what he was doing, and that is okay for us, right? So therefore, proud to propose. Thank you.
All right, we'd like to thank that speaker for their wonderful speech. Moving on to the side opening opposition, leader of opposition, whenever you're ready. Here.
Just give me 30 seconds.
All right.
Okay, am I audible?
Loud and clear.
I'll start in 3, 2, 1. Panel, this is how I'll go about with my speech, right? I'll counter characterize whatever the O I said to you and why, and I'll tell you whatever we get from their side is literally not taking subjectivity into consideration, right? Secondly, I'll talk about what do we mean by this professional stability and how happiness as a matrix is very subjective and can't be defined for people. And lastly, I'll talk about what harms do we offer to you when the moment you go ahead and actively devalue this professional stability as a pursuit of happiness, right? But before that, let's understand what necessarily do we get from O, right? Two things we get from O in terms of how there's a rat race in the society and how necessarily, people can't be happy with their professions. We think wrong argumentation to make in regard as knowing how profession is necessarily not something in which people engage only because they want to earn money, but also because they love to go ahead and say engage into activities like art, culture, etc. Right? That is to say Taylor Swift going ahead and being a professional professional singer is only because she was interested in going ahead and expressing herself and going ahead and sort of engaging into that practice, right? At that point of time, we think this profession is necessarily not a source of just income for people, but also a source of happiness for certain people, and that is something which can't be questioned, right? Secondly, they talk about how people are necessarily forced in the society to be happy and to achieve this achieve this sort of stability. Understand that at no point of time the opposition is going to come here and give you a singular narrative as to how this professional stability should be the only source of your happiness, right? But we are not going to go ahead and say that this can't be a source of your happiness, right? At that point of time, the burden on side opposition lies today to prove to you why necessarily this professional stability is something which can be a factor of making you happy, and how this active devaluation is something which is going to lead to more harms, right? In that regard, what do we mean by this active devaluation, right? Understand by active devaluation, you're literally discrediting the happiness that people can get from this professional stability, right? You're telling people that you can't be happy from your profession, that you necessarily can't go to or approach your professions for happiness because necessarily for them professions is equal to corporate, right? We think, and it's active devaluation, looking like you actually going in and changing that narrative in the society, you going in and making actual efforts to further that narrative, right? At that point of time, what this professional stability necessarily looks like, right? We don't think so this professional stability looks like just in terms of you the ability of you able to hold a job, right? But it also looks like you being able to enjoy the pays and benefits, right? You getting vacation day off, you getting your personal space, right? We're not furthering the singular narrative that profession is the only source of happiness, right? We think that this glorification needs to be changed, right? But necessarily not at the cost of people for whom this professional stability is something which is actually a very important source of happiness, right? We think it discredits the happiness of those people. But in that regard, what happiness actually means, right? We think that there's no matrix for you to go ahead and tell that happiness necessarily comes from say XYZ things, right? We think happiness is something which is very subjective, right? You can't define happiness for people. There's no matrix for us to go ahead and say today that professional stability does not make people happy, right? At that point of time, we think necessarily at times people just don't go ahead and engage into professional stability because of the peer pressure, but also because it makes them happy, but also because it gives them a source of gratification, glorification, right? In that regard, we think that profession is also a source of your passion, right? It's literally people going ahead and expressing themselves, right? That is you literally being an artist, being able to express yourself. How art is literally a form of you not just expressing yourself, but also trying to break the stereotypes, breaking the oppression that you faced, right? At that point of time, we think that this active professions like journalism, social activism also exist, which necessarily are not just because of the peer pressure, but also a passion to you, right? How profession is equal to passion, and how necessarily people engage into profession because they want to go ahead and pursue it because it's their passion, right? At that point of time, we think the moment you further this narrative that professional stability cannot make you happy, what you're doing is the moment you devalue that sort of narrative, what you're doing is you're taking that opportunity away from these people to go ahead and engage into their passions, because now necessarily this is not something which is going to make them happy, right? But secondly, before that, POI from CG.
Right, ma'am. So my question is, are you of the belief that professions such as being an artist, a painter, or a social activist offer professional stability in the conventional sense? Are you of that belief?
Yeah, at a point of time where I've already characterized to you that professional stability does not just look like in terms of you earning money, but it also looks like you being happy in whatever you're doing, right? You enjoying the pays and benefits, you getting personal space, you getting vacation day offs, right? It's also about your passion. It's not just about, oh, I'm getting 1 crore, like I'm earning 1 crore rupees a year and that is everything I want. We don't necessarily think so that they can define professional stability just in terms of money or resources, right? It's also about the feelings that you're feeling. It's also about a lot of other factors. In that regard, we think journalism, social activism is something that necessarily is a profession, and they can't say that, oh, paisa nahi aa raha, so it's not going to be a profession, right? But in that regard, what do we tell you? We tell you how marginal communities and minorities are going to be worse off when you go ahead and actively devalue it. Like threefold analysis to that. Because understand these people have necessarily attained this position, like attained this jobs, professions by breaking the stereotypes, right? They've literally like came out of these came out of the barriers that they were facing. They're literally they've broken the oppression that they're facing, right? At that point of time, they've necessarily face these barriers and face these obstacles and come out of it, right? At that point of time, this like job necessarily becomes a sense of glorification, gratification for them, right? It's a sense of opportunity for them in which they feel happy because now they necessarily feel that they've achieved something in terms of them facing the like black people having a stable life because they can earn money, because they can sort of earn that respect in the society wherein they can't go ahead and like being challenged by the society, right? That is to say, LeBron James having a professional stable career is something which like who can't be disrespected and who doesn't have to face like oppression as opposed to a random black person wandering in the streets, right? At that point of time, this professional stability becomes very important, not just in terms of these people breaking the stereotype, but also because these people necessarily are poor people who need resources, who need that sort of happiness, who need like the sense of appreciation for themselves, right? But secondly, in that regard, also how we feel that factors like social, like your support, something people like family support is also something which is very subjective, right? That is to say, if I belong from a very abusive family, maybe my profession is the only thing that makes me happy, right? At that point of time, you can't go ahead and question these people and tell them that you necessarily can't be happy from your profession, because your profession looks like an escape mechanism for them wherein they feel happy when they go ahead and engage into that practice, right? Lastly, it breaks the stereotypes in the society as to how, say, women necessarily are forced to like believe that, oh, I have to be happy only if I have a stable married life, right? We think that this professional stabilities provide them with opportunities where they necessarily feel that they can be happy from their profession and not just their like love life or things along those lines. For all those reasons, very proud to oppose.
All right, we'd like to thank that speaker for their wonderful speech. Moving back to the opening government, Deputy Prime Minister, whenever you're ready.
Yeah, just 20 seconds.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So I will begin my speech in 3, 2, 1. Okay, panel. So first of all, I'd like to say that the op here has been strawmanning our arguments. We didn't say that jobs are not necessary, right? But we said that active romanticization of jobs, like gaining this professional stability, oh, if you are professionally stable, you have like attained it in life and stuff like that. We are really against just that, right? We have characterized you what we mean by active devaluation, what we mean by professional stability, and what is happiness, right? So happiness is something that is very subjective, right? It is something that is very personal to you. It has their own definitions, right? For me, like happiness can be when it rains. I feel happy, right? So, but what we are saying is that the society has romanticized being professionally stable so much that people mindlessly hustle for it, right? People don't care if they are in a happy place. Like, they can be really happy, like they can enjoy the moment, but still it's like in the back of the mind that, I am not that professionally stable. Maybe, I'm not earning that much as much society expect me to, like being a person living in the society. They are like mindlessly hustling, even if they're happy. And we are against that, right? We want you to understand that we want to let people live, right? End goal should be happiness, and job should just be a means to an end, right? It's not the end. Like, job isn't like the thing to attain. No, happiness is. Like, if a person is happy, then you are pretty much sorted, right? So, okay, so what really happens is that, the opposition came here and told me that profession is something that people take as a passion. Now, this is a really like loose argument. Like, who told you that? Like, it's not like that. Like, people have profession and people have passion. It is never profession is equal. Okay, maybe in some cases when people really, believe in pursuing their passion, but that is not very common in the status quo. Like, you have to really tell people that, mom, this is my passion and I want to take it as a profession. You must have heard these sentences anywhere. So profession is not necessarily equal to passion in status quo. We still have profession, and we take a break from those profession to pursue happiness, right? I've never seen anybody say that, I'm taking a break from happiness, right? So that's the point. Profession in the status quo is not equal to passion, right? And op here is like very conveniently painting it as, like, if I'm an artist, I can have satisfaction in my job. So why are you not letting me pursue it? Like, they're taking such a like small subset. It is annoying that they're taking that example. Like, I am telling you that, people hustle. They work their asses off. They're working overtime, and they're just romanticizing working so much. Ki grind karo, hustle karo, and uske bina to kuch hai nahi life. Like, that is not done. Like, people should just be happy, and that should be the end goal, right? And that is what our point is, and not what opposition has been painting it, right? Also, they're telling us that they told us that marginal communities will be worse off, right? If we tell you that you should not value professional stability that much. So what we want to say to that is that, again, we never said that jobs are not necessary. We tell you, yeah, job is important. Like, it will help you get some money, but we are against the idea that, what is professional stability, right? It is a concept that is made by society, because stability it's such a vague term, right? It's so subjective. But when society tells you that, you have 6 lakh per annum package, like you're not that stable, things like that, people have society has painted a picture that, if you earn this much, or if you are working for these many hours, then you have got this, then you have then that what you are doing, right? So we are talking about that. We are not bashing job. We are not like against economy or something, right? Okay, so I'll give you just for an example. Let's take Finland, like, right? So Finland is such a happy place to live, right? It's like free, relaxed way. People are chilled out, laid back. And there it's not like about rat race, like that is not about like corporate life there, that, people are just focusing on their work, overtiming, working their ass off, and just competition. It's not like that in Finland, right? Finnish people are, known to be, feel secure what they do, just be happy in that ways. And that is the way of life that we are really we want to like come across as that, right? We are telling you that, people can stay happy, and just a little bit of just active devaluation of professional stability is the way to go, right? Because it must not be the end goal. Any POIs from any bench? Long line one.
How do you think an economically deprived person would be happy if he left his job, had no professional stability? How do you think he would be happy if his family is dying out of poverty?
Okay, okay, that is again a very small subset that you took. But okay, if a person's family member is dying, that's pretty dark, is dying, and how they will be happy if they don't do the job, right? Okay, so again, active devaluation of professionals. Okay, see, at that time, what would really lead to happiness is the job, right? They want to save that family member. Again, see, you are just taking such a small subset, and where happiness will be derived from, doing that job, working their ass off, taking that money and saving the whatever family member is dying life of that family member, right? So again, what is the end goal? It is happiness. Was like job really important in this case? Yes, but in every case, no. This is what I'm talking about, that romanticizing of stability and professional stability. It's so much. Now the subset that you took is very convenient, but I guess I do come across, like, my point is clear to you. Now, another thing. Okay, so let's take an example. People like, Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg. Now, maybe if Op comes here and argue that, these people are professionally stable and they're happy. So the thing is that what they're doing is their passion, right? Like Elon Musk always wanted to do this, right? So that's what we are saying. We are not demeaning ki, oh, don't do jobs, just leave, fuck it. Like, don't do the jobs and, just laugh, live around, stay happy. No, we're not saying that. We're just saying that do what makes you happy. And for that, you can just chill a bit on that professional stability part. If you are happy without that, be it. Like, it's not really important to just work your asses off 12 hours a day and then feel that you have done it. No, you can just be happy and just stay like that, right? We're telling you that. Okay, so what we are necessarily arguing is that while you pursue happiness, you create excellence. And you can just be like that. You don't have to fit in this societal norms that I have to earn this much, I have to work this much, and I have to be like a boss. And no, it's really not important. What we are saying is that just pursue happiness and you can create excellence. And with that, I'm really proud to propose. Thank you for listening.
I'd like to thank the speaker for their wonderful speech and to conclude the case from side opening government. Moving on to side opening opposition, calling upon the deputy leader of opposition whenever they're ready. Here. Is it yellow here?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, you're audible.
Yeah, so I'll take POIs in the 5th minute, not before the 5th minute, also in chat, and I'll start my speech in 20 seconds. Right. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Yep, all right. I'll just have some water and I'll start. All right. Starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. Panel 2, constructive speeches. We still don't know why we should support something which is so annihilating as active devaluation of professional stability. 2, constructive speeches. We still don't know the answer. The only thing we received from them is that A, our idea is elitist. For us, the purview of happiness is restricted to the idea of you being rich, you being a privileged person, because for them, happiness looks like you going on vacations, you taking break from maybe your professional job, your career, but they do not take into purview the primary stakeholders and the ones who are largely impacted by this devaluation and who are largely impacted by this professional stability in the first place, right? Their idea of happiness is so problematic, privileged in the first place, because then asked in a POI, the response is that, hey, you're straw manning. Hey, this is a small subset, but we still don't know why they are so insensitive to the atrocities of these communities when they are the primary stakeholders, with the repercussions, when the impact of this devaluation is the largest on these people who need this money, who need this professional stability the most, right? But secondarily, their response is that happiness looks like you being rich, because all the argumentations, all the assertions, in fact, that we've received from their side of the house nearly cater to the privileged, to the elitist, to the rich people, not taking into purview the minorities. In that regard, we think they are insensitive, but also their case is something which gives us no sense of logical reasoning or proper analysis as to why we should support them. But also, we think money is not necessary, right? This is the kind of narrative that they essentially brought out in front of us, that money is not necessary. We think, even if we take that best case scenario that money is not necessary, the impacts of money are excruciatingly important, especially for these minorities, for women, for these economically backward people. What are the impacts of this money? The impacts of this money look like me having a sense of satisfaction, me having a sense of glorification, that, hey, I'm able to feed my family, I'm able to meet all the atrocities that I was essentially happening, I'm able to fulfill the dreams of my children, I'm able to buy things for my children. This is the kind of happiness which essentially accrues out of this money, right? The impact of money is something that you essentially had to talk about in this debate, but they've clearly restricted this debate, and all our arguments look like straw manning to them. But secondarily, it also feels like whenever I fulfill the needs of my family, I also receive a sense of support, a sense of love, a sense of care from my family, which is essentially needed in my life, right? That is the source of happiness. Money plus this happiness. We think these two things are largely complementary to one another, because the kind of happiness I can give to my family and the kind of happiness that my family has further, the kind of happiness that I achieve out of it is the sort of happiness that accrues out of this money, right? But secondly, on their idea of human beings, right? In their first speech, they generalize human beings, wherein they say, I do a job necessarily for the sake of money. But in their second speech, in the DPM speech, they concede to our characterization that happiness is subjective, wherein they themselves say that, hey, happiness is subjective. I can be happy because of a lot of reasons. If this is really the matter, if this is really the fact that happiness is subjective, we don't understand why doing a job that makes me feel good, why professional stability is something which does not give me a sense of happiness. No response from their side of the house, right? They say stability does not necessarily mean happiness. We think we've already answered that by telling you that the kind of support, understanding, the kind of fulfillment that essentially accrues out of this money is something which is essentially needed out of the stability. But secondarily, on the idea of competitiveness, we still don't know why competitiveness, why winning is something which is problematic, is something which is wrong, because in their paradigm, they tell us competitiveness is going on, there's a race going on, we still don't know what are the harmful impacts of this race. Why is this harmful? We are fine with competition if it's giving me a sense of happiness, a sense of glorification, a sense of satisfaction. I'm absolutely fine with that, right? But also on that idea of mental well-being, mental illness, wherein they trivialize depression, but also this mental well-being is largely symmetric on both sides of the house. Understand, regardless of your professional stability, a person can be mentally unwell, can go through depression. This is not even a constructive that they can base their case upon, because this also happens because of the kind of humiliation that I essentially receive from the society. What does this humiliation looks like? Understand, this devaluation is symmetric, and also complementary to the idea of humiliation that the society necessarily simultaneously inflicts upon you. What does this humiliation looks like? Today, the society is telling me that it's not important, it's devaluing me for actually pursuing something that I want, for actually pursuing the sort of professional stability, attain the professional stability that I want in life. But tomorrow, if I don't do anything to achieve that professional stability, this same society will instill the narrative in me that A, I'm useless, my mental well-being gone down the drain, B, I am further humiliated, I am insulted, I'm of no use, and at the end of the day, obviously, I will be excluded from the society to a larger extent. But what essentially have we provided to you, having kicked OG out of this debate? We tell you, in terms of economically challenged poor people who are the primary stakeholders here, not the elitist individuals, because they anyway find some or the other source of happiness. But we think this money proves to be a source of happiness for these individuals because of three factors. First, in status quo, we see increasing poverty, increasing gap between haves and have-nots. Right? In that regard, we think that there is a dire need and urgency for these people to actually pursue jobs, to actually ensure that the families are fed, to actually ensure that they are fighting, striving through the problems, through the atrocities, through the economic crisis that is essentially undergoing in their family. In that regard, we think it gives me a sense of contentment, a sense of happiness when I'm able to feed my family, because I think I love my family. We all innately love the people around us, love the people we hang out with our family. In that regard, it gives me a sense of contentment that I'm able to fulfill the needs of my family, fulfill the needs of my kid. But secondarily, also gives me a sense of glorification, because now I am respected, because this is the society that we are essentially living in. The society that we are living in demands us to be able to earn something in order to achieve some sense of respect. In that regard, we think that this oppression which is necessarily going on, the oppression which has led to these people having low self-esteem, will be mitigated to a lot of extent, because now I would feel that this oppression which was primarily taking place because I was economically weak, I was economically oppressed, I was economically suppressed in the society, is something I've been able to break through, as a result of which it gives me a sense of glory. But also I'm able to break barriers, which is something essentially the society always stopped me, always prevented me from achieving. Right? In that regard, it gives me a sense of happiness, contentment, a sense of respect that I'm essentially not receiving in society. This professional stability gives me that sense. But secondarily, on our idea of furthering stereotypes and patriarchy, we think twofold analysis here. In general, this devaluation looks like people around me telling me that I, as a woman in a patriarchal society, whatever I have at the moment, whatever professional stability or income I have at the moment is more than enough. Stop right there. Because in a patriarchal society, even if you achieve tiny bit of achievement, it's more than enough. This devaluation looks like preventing women from further breaking barriers, from further achieving things. But secondarily, in terms of marriage, we think this devaluation looks like my family members, my mom telling me that your happiness should be solely dependent on your husband, on your household, on the household chores, not in what you are doing right now. Your passion is something which is not important. In that regard, we think women and stereotypes are further being deteriorated as a result of the patriarchal norms and the vicious cycle that the society drops you into, wherein they put this narrative into you that, all right, this professional stability is much less significant as compared to the sense of quote-unquote happiness that you'll receive from family. This is the kind of happiness we are not willing to undergo. We are not willing to let go at any and every circumstance. Lastly, we tell you, if I receive happiness from stability, then we should not further do this debate, because we've already taken this debate, because this devaluation looks like you telling me it is wrong. Competition is wrong. There is no sense of agency. We think, in that regard, extremely proud to oppose and take this debate over open government.
All right, we'd like to thank the speaker for their wonderful speech and to some. You're unmuted. Excuse me, Prajwal, you're unmuted. All right. So glad to. I'd like to thank the speaker for their wonderful speech and to sum up the opening half of the debate. Moving on to the closing half, just a reminder before that, we'd like to ask everyone to stick to the 7:20 time limit, because we won't be writing anything beyond that, and also try to take POIs from other benches to engage. That will impact your speakers. And calling upon the member of government to begin with their speech whenever they're ready.
Right, am I audible?
Yes, you are, loud and clear.
So I just had a power cut here, so there's possibility of it happening again. So if it does happen, just please pause my time. I'll like rejoin from my phone data or something.
All right. Yep.
Thank you. And if at any point I'm not audible, please do let me know.
Definitely. Your team member could probably pass it on to you if you're not online.
As in?
If your teammate could pass it on
Yeah,
to
yeah.
you if
Oh,
you're not
sure, sure,
online.
sure. Yeah,
Yep.
sure. All right, so I'll begin in 3, 2, 1. All right, good morning, everybody. While we agree with the opening half of the government in the arguments that they've raised, the opposition has mischaracterized the debate completely, and I believe we win this debate solely on the definition that we propose and we show as being true. They talk about professional stability and they say that happiness is also a part of professional stability. They give examples of Taylor Swift, LeBron James, and other sports persons. If you look at the dictionary meaning of the word stability, it means a situation in which something, a company or system can continue in a regular and successful way without unexpected changes. But definition itself, singers and musicians, sports people, they do not have this financial stability. They do not have their job security, insurance benefits, paid vacations leave. They're in professions where, 10, 15 people are very, very successful. The others are languishing in different industries without any source of income. And they're not doing this for pursuit of job security or professional stability. They're doing this for their happiness. And this is where again they fail in their debate. Their burden was to prove that that professional stability is very, very important for the pursuit of happiness, and that it cannot be, happiness cannot be achieved without professional stability. On our side, we're not saying professional stability is not important. We believe it is an important constituent of what constitutes happiness, feeding family, achieving economic success. However, what our problem is that the current importance and the high level of importance given to professional stability sacrifices on other aspects of what constitute a person's happiness. And now we will move on to rebutting some of the other points that they have made. Again, they talk about how professions cannot make happy, and we are telling the people that professions cannot make you happy, and you should not look at professions. Women should stop pursuing their dreams and engage in other activities. That's not what we're saying at all. We're saying that you should engage in professions for the purpose of pursuing happiness, and you should do something because you like doing it. You should not look at financial stability and job security as a means to reach the end goal of happiness. And this is where we move to our first constructive, very important. If we look at a scenario like India, professional security and professional stability is looked at, in terms of professions like being a lawyer, engineer, or a doctor, not being a sports person or, a cricketer or a musician, etc. And when the focus is on these professions, what happens is young kids are made to focus and sit on entrance exams, and their entire worth is evaluated on the basis of the scores that they're getting. Why? Because these scores will determine what college they get into, and what college they get into will determine their job, leading to what is constituted as professional stability. Young professionals, there are suicides. People are in quota are killing themselves because they cannot achieve this goal, the success that their family is looking at. Moreover, we also tell you that this increased focus on professional stability results in lack of overall, job success of people. How? Because people are stuck in professions that they are not engaged in and they do not like, because these professions are, known for providing job security, and are forced to, give up on other academic activities, extracurricular activities, sports, etc., because they are not looked at things that provide financial stability. Examples could be Rahul Datta and PT Usha, who are, forced to pursue their education instead of, looking into professions which are actually providing them, happiness and could in the long term provide them money. Moving on to a second point about performance pressure and stress. When people in ancient times, people were not aware of what was happening in other parts of the world, how financially successful other people are. But it's social media, financial success, and what others are doing, there's increased competition. And what happens is people place all of their happiness, all of their they hedge everything on their financial success, because they believe that when they achieve financial success, they will be happy. However, happiness is a state of mind. It's not a position you reach when you become a CEO or an executive. So when people focus everything into their profession, what ends up happening is, you have casting couches, you have frauds, you have people, engaging in desperate measures to achieve financial success, compromising and sacrificing on their, other constituents of happiness. And when they do not meet these, when you did not achieve this, the opposition gave to a point when they talked about the humiliation of society, how society will exclude people who do not achieve everything, and we will discard them, and they will only be respected by society when they achieve financial success. This is what we're trying to end. What we're trying to end is, we're trying to devalue this financial security, so that when Wall Street bankers and young professionals and young CEOs, when their companies fail, they're not forced to kill themselves. They know that they can achieve a happiness without financial success. And here we will move to our third point, regarding health impacts. When you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it is the creative endeavors of a person which are at the highest level, and job security, food, etc., are placed at the fourth and fifth levels. And people believe that happiness can only be achieved if they achieve, job security and financial success. They give up on other constituents of this hierarchy of needs. They give up on eating properly, drinking properly, They give up on their sexual needs. They give up on socialization. If you look at Japan, the example of, karoshis, people who die because of overworking. People in Japan and other Southeast Asian countries, they're not giving birth to children because they're so focused on their careers. And this does not give them happiness. Professional success cannot alone give you happiness. You can go and ask Elon Musk, or you can ask Naomi Osaka. If you do not look at and focus on the other constituents of happiness, such as all these things, you will not achieve happiness in the long term. Now, moving on to some other, I take POI first. Right. Is there a POI? All right. Since there is not a POI.
There's one from opening opposition.
Yeah, go ahead.
Considering that the only metric, the only thing that you've talked about so far in repetition to what opening government has said, what do you think is the primary purpose for this devaluation except for this hustle culture?
Right. The primary purpose, again, I'd like to address this by countering another one of your points about minority communities, and how professional stability helps bring up minority communities. They gave the example of LeBron James. Let me tell you, these minority communities, when they achieve success, when you look at hip hop, when you look at, rap from African American artists, these people became successful and started something for their community because they were not trying to achieve financial stability. What they were trying to seek was, happiness, accomplishing something, putting out their music, winning in a sport. Here, financial professional stability was not a concept to what constituted happiness. They were looking at only happiness. And this is what we believe needs to happen. While professional stability is an important constituent of happiness, the importance given to it in current times is leading to bad health, is leading to sacrificing, people giving up on their other activities, other endeavors, possibly missing out on professions that they could possibly, become more successful in. And this is what is very problematic. Again, they talk about how people will die and if they're not able to give food to their families. We do not say you should completely give up and not have any professional career. Of course, have a life, have a career, feed your family, accomplish those goals. But we're saying is your entire focus for achieving happiness should not be on this financial stability. Again, they talk about patriarchal, women and patriarchy. Again, nobody's telling women to find happiness not in their professions. If they find happiness in their professions, they're looking for happiness in their professions. Their professions are making them happy. However, when it becomes problematic is when women or any person believes that if they achieve financial stability and if they achieve financial in one or two of these professions, they will get happy and they will become happy. And this is the problem of the hustle culture. Thereby, we believe that solely on the basis of the definition that the opposition have provided, we win this debate, because happiness, is when people are striving for more continuously, having never-ending goals, they cannot achieve happiness. They can only get into a hustle culture and die sad. And that is not what we're looking for. Thank you.
All right, we'd like to thank the speaker for their wonderful speech. Just a second. Yep, calling upon the member of opposition for their speech and to start off the case from side closing opposition. Here. Also, just a reminder before you start, please refrain from using words that might trigger people. For instance, things surrounding killing oneself. Try to keep it civil for everyone.
I apologize.
I'm sorry. What type of words? Could you just repeat?
Killing oneself.
Perfect.
Right. I apologize for that. It was in the flow of the speech. Ended up.
Am I clearly visible and audible?
Yes, you are.
Right, great. A couple of things before I start. I will take my POI after the 5th minute, and I hope the OC resolved my issue regarding my camera being on and the live streaming. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it regarding my requests. Whenever the POIs do come up, try not to spam me in the chat box because I would only be properly able to address them during the 5th minute. Other than that, try avoiding spam in the chat. With that, I think I can begin. All right, just give me a second. You can start the timer whenever I start speaking, right? All right, okay. I'll begin in 3, 2, 1. Okay. So it is important to understand that the top half of the debate has engaged on a different motion than what we're debating, right? Let me tell you the motion that they were debating upon. The motion that they were debating upon was that this House supports the active devaluation of conventional professions in pursuit of happiness, right? So the thing is, because of this misconstruing on their part that professional stability is equated to conventional professions, what has happened is that more or less the engagement that happened on both the sides and the type of arguments that did come up, the arguments were consolidated around this idea, right? So what I try to do is that first, because the closing government and the opening government more or less were basically the same in terms of their arguments, so my rebuttals would not be structured separately, they would be together. And as far as my positive material is concerned and the extensions, I would come up to what the opening opposition has said, extend on it, and give value additions relevant to it, right? So let's start with the rebuttals first, right? So more or less what the opening government has come here and told you, that professional stability means that that you are a person who's well settled in your career and you have job satisfaction, right? And they have told you that pursuit of happiness is something which is subjective, and it is more or less basically a concept where you are allowed to make free choices and you have the right to live life to the fullest, right? So it is important to understand that they had a burden, right? A certain burden. That burden was to create a nexus that pursuit of happiness necessarily is connected to professional stability, right? And first of all, it is important to understand that because they did not define profession to be something conventional as the way society construes it. Moreover, we realize and we acknowledge that in the status quo, because majoritarianly we see that professional stability is accrued in professions that are mostly conventional, is why I think it is maybe a reasonable mistake on their part that they are continuously reiterating on that. So I'd like to first of all rebut the fact that when they mention that because happiness isn't a metric, it is important to understand that professional stability is also not there's no metric for that, right? Because more or less because the profession that you're talking about or have assumed to be are conventional, although professions can be all kinds of professions. But ultimately, whenever you employ yourself to do something, even if it's something that perhaps you don't like, maybe you hate your job, maybe you love your job, maybe it is something that is art or culture or something that you're passionate about, maybe it's something that's just as boring as being a lawyer and you're not that passionate about, right? So the fact of the matter is that regardless of the nature of your job, whether or not you like it or not, ultimately it is important to understand that professional stability more or less is something that that basically is in fact a means to an end, right? But it is important to understand that when they introduce a stakeholder, which is individuals, and we'd like to introduce another stakeholder, which is the individuals that depend upon this particular individual, that is the primary stakeholder. So there are two stakeholders. First, the individual that we're talking about, the pursuit of happiness of this individual, and the individuals that depend upon this person. So it is important to understand that because the government could not actually properly establish a nexus between professional stability being the key to the pursuit of happiness, it is important to understand that we recharacterize it for you. So when you realize that happiness is something that cannot be achieved, right? It is this is a nirvana that none of us have actually properly realized, which is why the phrase pursuit of happiness abridges, right? Because it is only a pursuit, and so there are moments when we achieve side outcomes to a certain pursuit, right? Like a pursuit in your professional career and side outcomes resulting in certain benefits that you accrue in your pursuit of that professional career, right? For example, if I pursue my law degree, and the benefit that I would accrue on the side would be necessarily maybe achieving the position of a partner in a firm, or maybe side benefits and other things, yada yada yada, which would be construed in professional stability. So pursuit of anything for that matter is basically you continuing on the path of actively following it, and there would be side outcomes to it. Applies both on professional as well as pursuit of happiness, right? So because there isn't no nexus, we build the nexus for you by means of the two stakeholders that we provided to you, right? So when we talk about something that has been continuously repeated in the top half of the debate, is that there are a lot of factors involved, like the fact that there's a sense of competition, there's a sense of rat race that has happened in this society, right? Examples of countries like Finland, where people are really happy because there's no because essentially people are enjoying their lives for what it is, right? and there's no competition. It's important to understand that countries like Finland or Switzerland, for that matter, they have defeated the idea of competition because people are essentially at the same level of standard of living. And I hope you understand countries like Finland and Switzerland are very expensive to live in. Some of us who are living in India can't even imagine living in these countries, right? Because people have achieved a certain standard of living, right? It's important to understand, even if you're a painter, even if you have followed all kinds of risk in the world and you're a person who's a passionate person, right? You're pursuing this passion. Even if you're happy while you paint, the principal argument that you've provided to us, that you shouldn't care about you shouldn't care about your career. This is a person who does not care about the norms. This is a person who has taken a substantial risk in pursuing this particular career, right? And this is a person who is actually substantially talented. This is also a person who's managed to achieve some amount of stability. But this person cannot in any honesty be honestly be happy in the in the understanding that we have by the given definition, if this person is going hungry, right? Because ultimately professional stability is something that comes out of the idea that whatever profession you belong to, if you are earning some basic things that would allow you to sustain life, you would be able to achieve that pursuit of happiness. So that nexus actually is the nexus actually, because it was because of the lack of characterization, it is important to understand that it has become really uncharitable for the side opposition to debate on it, right? Especially because of the faulty characterization, ideas of minorities being held back, and glorification of people who have broken stereotypes and who have achieved stability in their careers would be people who would be left out, and because of devaluation of certain things. We as opposition, although we do agree to that, we also realize that what would be the worst case scenario, right? When you think about devaluation of professional stability, it would not necessarily be the people who have broken stereotypes would be left behind. They would still have their jobs, right? What would essentially happen is that there would be an essential stigmatization and a certain demonization when it comes to people who are maybe people who belong to who belong to family units, and their source of happiness is not necessarily professional stability or their profession, so to speak, but it's their children or it's their family members, and they derive their happiness from them, right? This is basically an extension to what the side opposition has already talked about. So quickly to wrap up, it is important to understand that the rebuttals that we have provided to you are as follows. First, that because of the misconstruing of the characterization, it has become a debate about conventional versus non-conventional debates, one providing happiness and the other being not. So a true pursuit of happiness will result by you basically pursuing a conventional non-conventional job and not caring about what the society says, right? Moreover, on the aspect of minorities or majorities, it has been seen that because minorities are breaking stereotypes, they would be stigmatized, to which we tell you that stigmatization and demonization would happen to people at large when it comes to devaluation of professional stability. We provide you a fresh stakeholder which is actually a source of happiness, and we tell you that the source, which is the meaning of the phrase pursuit of happiness, is basically to tell you that the pursuit of anything is something that you actively follow. On the other hand, there are side outcomes to it that you accrue. All right, I'm really sorry for extending my time so hard. I'm really sorry. I apologize for that. Thank you so much. Proud to oppose.
That's all right. Thanking the speaker for their wonderful speech. Moving on to side closing government again, calling upon the government for their speech.
Yeah, just give me like 10-15 seconds. There's some problem in my internet, so just like 10 seconds.
It's a motion, this house believes in the active devaluation of professional stability in the pursuit of happiness. प्रोफेशनल स्टेबिलिटी का तो ये मतलब होता है ना, आपके पास जॉब है, तनख्वाह है, अच्छे से आप रह रहे हो.
संजीत, could you mute yourself?
डिवैल्यू करना है ना, कि इसकी इंपॉर्टेंस को डिवैल्यू करना है.
Is the opposition way back? We can't really assign a lot of time because, to adhere to the norms of VP debating.
Hi, this is the OC. Was Sanjeet asking for a clarification in the motion?
No, he wasn't.
Okay.
I think he was discussing with his opposition bill.
Okay, cool. Yeah, just a second. Yeah, I'm back. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, hello. Yeah, like this before I begin, like I'm having some internet issues. So like if at any point in time, like I go off or like I'm unaudible, so like just please audibly interrupt me and let me know. If that's fine with you.
All right.
Yeah, am I audible, right? I'm audible, right?
Loud and clear.
Yeah. Perfect. Right. So I'll start in 3, 2, 1. Right. First of all, panel, what we need to understand is that the side opposition has characterized this debate into a debate of happiness versus professional stability or material success in black and white terms. Right. This is not what we are debating on. What we are essentially debating on is that at present in status quo, professional stability is considered as a greater goal than happiness. That is to say that the burden on the side government today is that how in our paradigm it is better that when we lower down the professional stability from a higher pedestal that it is placed at right now to a lower pedestal to make it equitable to people pursuing happiness as a goal in their life, then it should be fine. And for those bases in our speeches we have provided how in our model there are more benefits than there are harms in the model as proposed by the side opposition. Secondly, a very important facet that was raised in side opposition speeches is that how professional stability side government is connected it majorly to conventional careers. So I'll basically characterize why was it done so and what are the three categories of people that we need to look at in this motion. Number one, professional stability is mainly connected to conventional careers such as lawyers, doctors, etc. in this particular world, because number one, most people are engaged in conventional careers and there are majority of people in the globe who are engaged in conventional careers. Number two, most of these people who pursue conventional careers do it for money rather than pursuing happiness, right? Because obviously it won't make sense for people to not have 3 meals in a day if they're pursuing their passion at the end of the day. Number two, when the opposition comes and talks at length about how a target group in this particular debate is also people like Taylor Swift or LeBron James who are pursuing their passion. It is for them to understand that people who pursue their passion at the end of the day are naturally happy, right? So they are not one facet of the debate that we are covering. We are covering, and also we are not covering people who do not have 3 squares meal a day, because number one, they do not have professional stability, and on the other hand, they neither have happiness because they can't actually make 3 meals a day for their family, right? So in this debate, there are certain points that were contested by the side opposition that we wish to rebut. Number one, they talked about how how we say that profession is not just a source of income, but they also say that profession is a source of happiness. And because a lot of people such as Taylor Swift and Taylor Swift pursue their passions and make them into career, they live in a very utopian world when they give us this characterization, because Taylor Swift and people like LeBron James hardly represent 0.001% population on this earth. Even these celebrities, many are examples of people who burn out after a point in time when they carry forward professional stability to a very higher level, because they're not able to digest success, or because they're not innately happy even after what all they've achieved in life. Most normal people, on the other hand, in our paradigm which we propose, we say that most normal people see professional stability as accruing a handsome paycheck at the end of their month. So far from their happiness accruing from a passion that they're pursuing, it is just a desk job or a career that they're pursuing for the simple fact that they have to arrange three square meals a day for their family, right? So and in this process, what they tend to lose out on is happiness, because in this rat race and in this hustle culture that we have promoted in the status quo, these people lose out on benefits such as happiness because they focus on their careers and making them financially secure. Number two, the side opposition comes up and says that how in our paradigm we are actually enforcing patriarchy, and how we are saying that telling women to stop professional stability and their jobs that they love and focus on their families and happiness, families or their husband, because they can accrue happiness from there. So in our paradigm, if a woman is happy pursuing a job if in our paradigm a woman is happy pursuing a job that she sees it as her passion, then we don't propose devaluing the professional stability, because in any ways they'll be happy in what they're doing, right? The reason that we are promoting devaluation of professional stability is for a variety of reasons, and highlighting why there are more benefits in our model. Number one, when people devalue professional stability who are engaged in a rat rat race and hustle culture, what they tend to do is they tend to ignore their health. They tend to actually ignore all the other facets to life are there, such as ignoring the important relationships in their life, ignoring health factors that need to be taken into consideration. Because at the end of the day, their goal is to be better at their jobs and to earn a handsome income. And in this model, there's no full stop to their professional stability. If they are better off than one person, then at the end of the day, after a certain point in time, they start competing with another person in that race. One more point that we tend to make is that if we promote this culture and if we do not say that professional stability needs to be devaluated for them to pursue happiness, what we are essentially also doing is that we are telling children who want to pursue their passion, and we are telling them that you have to achieve professional stability first, and after that, what you can do is, after you achieve professional stability in your life, you can pursue your passions then. Before moving on to POI, quick.
Yeah, considering that the model that you entirely replicated from OG, wherein we already tell you as opening opposition financial stability in addition to passion looks like you actually, it varies from one household to another on the basis of your income. How do you engage with it, and how do you further tell us that this is something which is important in your paradigm, considering you've already conceded to us?
We say that pursuing happiness in our model is more important than but end goal to that is devaluing this professional stability, because for a matter of fact, majority of the people take up their jobs not just to pursue their passion. It is a very small amount of people who take up their jobs and convert their passion into their livelihood. It's a lot of people do this so that they can be financially stable in their life, and in that process they lose out on the facets of happiness in their life. Moving on, we also say that how people, when they're pursuing happiness and they're devaluing professional stability, they also have a better mind and body, and they can have a longevity of their career, right? So if a person who engages in their careers in a full-fledged manner and they totally ignore happiness, what they tend to do is, there's a lot of chances of people burning out at an age where they need to stretch out their career, right? So if a person is essentially happy, they're innately happy, their mind and body is healthy, then what they can do is they can be more successful at their career. So at the end of the day, if you're promoting happiness and we are saying that happiness should be a facet which should weigh more in terms of professional stability, then a person is better off in our model as proposed by that from side opposition. That's it. Yeah.
All right, we'd like to thank the speaker for their wonderful speech and call upon the opposition whip for the final speech of the debate whenever you're ready. Here.
Hi, thank you for extending the virtual dais to me. Before I begin, just one request. My internet is sort of diminishing out, so in case my voice cuts off at any point, please let me know via the chat box or inform my teammate and pause the timer. And secondly, any POIs will be taken only after the 3rd minute, not before that. No point spamming the chat up before that, right? I'll just take 10 seconds to quickly just go through my sheets and then begin the speech, if that's okay.
All right.
Right. Okay. I'll give you a head start of 3 and then 3, 2, 1, and then you can begin the timer, right? 4,
Correct.
3, 2, 1, start. Panel, the structure of my speech would be as follows. First, I would go on some systematic rebuttals, especially to the side closing government, and tell you why exactly the side opposition takes it over side government, right? Then I'll begin to make you understand exactly what the contributions of opposition as a whole, and why exactly do we take the intra-bench clash as well, right? So let's begin by understanding some few basic things, right? When we have the motion that this house supports a particular paradigm, right? What exactly was needed to be established from the very first speech, from the very get-go, was a simple nexus between the happiness of people, the pursuit of happiness of people, two different things actually, the pursuit of happiness of people, and as well as their professional stability, right? Now, understand, panel, that we live in a world. Let's not be very idealistic here, right? Let's be very practical. Let's be very rational here. We live in a world which has already been characterized by both the sides and is conceded by both the sides as the middle ground. We already understand that we live in a world which is a very corporate heavy world, as in we want to say that if the world is governed by corporate practices, as in a person's success and their weight in society is heavily judged and heavily judge basically and direction how exactly stable their professional career is, right? Now, understand, panel, that in such a situation, why does this problem arise? This problem arises because the entire economies, the entire system is based around your profession, right? Your profession, no matter what you do, is your way of earning a livelihood, and that in turn is the way that you live in, right? Now, when my previous speaker already mentioned that we want to introduce a separate stakeholder, which is the people who depend upon these said individuals, right? Why does that matter? Now, understand, panel, that in no case, even if we engage with this hypothetical way too idealistic rose tinted paradigm of side of government, we need to understand that in no case will people stop looking for stability. And why is that? Stability happens to be something which provides people a sense of belief, a sense of security, and a sense of protection that yes, you know what, even in the worst case scenario, even if worse comes to worse, we will still be able to live off it, right? Now, that why is that important? Because now we understand, panel, that not everyone happens to be a single bachelor, right? We have families. My father, who's 53 years old, has two sons, has a wife, right? They have to care about, right? And so on goes for every single person who has a family or even has any friends or any relative that they have to take care of. Now, when they have responsibility of such people, you need to understand that they just cannot be thinking about themselves, right? So at this point, it's important to understand that even taking pursuit of happiness and professional stability as two very exclusive and mutually independent aspects of a person's life cannot be done in any scenario, right? Understand, panel, that these family members are also the sources of happiness for these people, right? These people basically provide the sense of security, sense of belongingness, the sense of you can say they complete the puzzle in a person's mind, right? And we hence cannot leave these people, the family, the friends, and the colleagues, the acquaintances, out of the debate. And what does happen is basically when we are promoting a world where we specifically tell the people to entirely shun down one side and support the other paradigm, it cannot work in the long run and the short run as well, because it leads to a lot of complications. So what exactly we try to give you here right now is a long-term and short-term alliances, right? So understand that if we go by this paradigm where we promote a society where people are shunned from, people are told basically not to give professional stability any sort of they're told to pay no heed to professional stability. What happens is basically these people now it will in turn not be able to be happy in the end, at the end of the day, again, because they're disappointing and letting down people who are around them, right? And when I say disappointing, I do not mean that you're just disappointing your mother who wanted you to get into an IIT but you're stuck in a private college. No, I want disappointment as in that when you have to take care of families, when you have to take care of your friends, when you have certain social responsibilities toward any one person, even if it's not your family, what this leads to is that you cannot fulfill those responsibilities, the responsibilities that you take upon yourselves and are not forced upon you, by the way. And what this leads to is the person cannot be happy anymore, right? If I am working in a corporate firm, I'm not happy with my job at all, and yet my family, I'm earning enough that I can sustain my wife and my kids and give them good education. I think that constitutes a major part of a person's happiness, right? And even though I would want to do something else, let's say open a rock band, I won't do it mainly because I cannot then assure that people who are related to me or people who are connected to me would be able to thrive properly, right? Hence, this is very important to understand that happiness and pursuit of happiness, for example, and financial independence or financial stability cannot be taken as two independent things, right? They are something which depend upon each other, because after financial independence, people then have some sort of semblance of sanity, some sense of protection, and they feel like, you know what, yes, now we can venture out and try out different things because we have a backup right now, right? Before I go for the POI, yeah, OG, Sanjeet.
Right. So your entire argument is based about, how the society focuses completely on corporate world, financial success, and, feeding family. Do you believe that a world in which there is less focus on financial success in corporate world, an idealistic world, as you say, would be a better world? Because that's exactly what our motion is and what we said we should do.
Right. No. So here's the problem, right? When the government thinks that they're proposing something which is very idealistic, something which is very good or something which will actually help the society, they're wrong about it, right? Understand now that my entire speech so far has been entirely about rebutting the entire characterization of side government, especially the opening government, because when they tell you that, you know what, we need to have these two mutually dependent black and white right, sorry, I'm so sorry, closing government. Right. So when I have this when we have this idea that we have two mutually exclusive paradigms here, it does not work out. Understand, panel, that these, as I've said so far, these two things are related to each other, right? Also, the point about pursuit of happiness. Now, panel, understand the motion says pursuit of happiness and not guaranteed happiness. The person can still go after pursue something that will make them happy, but still end up failing to do so, right? They still might end up failing to get that happiness. Now, when there is a risk factor attached to it, it becomes even more important to highlight the point about financial stability or professional stability, because it provides again a semblance, a backup, and basically a plan B for these people. That even though if something else, if all else fails, at least they have their profession, they have their job, they can fend up for themselves and the people around them, right? So that is the first rebuttal to the entire characterization. Now coming down to some specific points, and making explain why exactly do we say that it should not be an exclusive model. Now understand, panel, that with our the entire stance of side oppositions from the very get-go has been that yes, we agree that there needs to be some change in society. We need to move away from very much from a very heavy focus and sole focus rather on professional capacity of a person. But we believe that we cannot do so by making these two paradigms completely different, right? We want to promote a society where people have this idea that, you know what, your happiness, your mental peace, your mental health matters, right? But then we cannot do so and shut down the entire society by telling people that, you know what, you can just quit your jobs, you can go homeless, you can let your family die off, and just for because you have the slight chance of finding success in something you feel will make you happy, right? So oftentimes which can go wrong, right? Especially in case of, let's say, people like who are younger in age, young adults, etc., right? Sometimes they might feel that something might please them, but it might end up failing to do so. Now it's very important to understand at this point of time is, again, like I said, we cannot just provide this hypothetical no mechanization, no characterization model, more so-called floating model in front of the house, and tell us that, you know what, we can separate these two things as a black and white into a proper binary, and then we can expect people to leave their jobs, to leave their active position in their well-working society where they're getting some wages, they're getting some backup, where they're getting to feed themselves and the family, and which will obviously in the long term lead to a very bad shutdown society and a complete recession in the global economy. But then we tell the people that, you know what, now you can go on and try to pursue something which might have a chance of providing you happiness, right? That makes sense, and that just makes us understand how basically unrealistic and unidyllic the entire point and the entire characterization and the entire stance of side government is, right? I think out of time. I'm so sorry. I'm proud to oppose. Yeah.
All right. We'd like to thank the speaker for the wonderful speech and to sum up the debate. Uh, Thanks a lot, everyone, for the debate, and congratulations again on making it so far. Ajis, where exactly will we be doing the deliberation?
Just a minute. Wasn't that wrong? As per the long diagonal, he should have taken POI from OG, which he did. But then this guy being CG said about OG. Isn't that wrong?
Yeah, but I don't think we can do anything about that now.
Sorry?
I don't think we can do anything about that now. Also, he took his name. He took his name when he asked him for a POI. So
Being CG, you can't just say OG and take the POI. That was wrong.
I didn't do it intentionally. It was an honest mistake. I was the opening speaker from my side. So in a hurry, I ended up saying opening government instead of closing government. I apologize sincerely for that. It wasn't intentional.
judges, where exactly would you like to have the deliberation? Is this file? Is Discord file?
Unless there's a breakout room option available for us to deliver in, which OC will let us know, I think we have to go to Discord. OC, do let us know.
If you want, we can create a breakout room as well. If you want, we can.
Room 3 is free. Can I assign you there?
Sure, that will work.
Might make life easier for us.
Right. Who all should I assign? I'm assigning Chinmaya.
I can announce the names. You could assign me, Joy, Shriya, Sayam, and Chinmaya.
All right.
Okay, so this is going to be the same link where you will have